Hey guys, we're back. We're talking about LA Galaxy this morning. We are in a different location. Me and my wife and my puppy decided to come down and visit my parents in Maryland. They have an awesome house down here, and we figured why not. So, we're going to talk about the LA Galaxy this morning. Got a few teams to get through. Hopefully, I can get them all edited and figured out and thrown onto YouTube before the season starts tomorrow at 1:30. Obviously, as we always do, starting in the back with Dan Kennedy. Big fan of him. Played with the Chivas for a while. Played with FC Dallas last year, I think. And his numbers are significantly down last year, but that's because he wasn't starting the whole season. So Dan Kennedy, $5.5 million, I think is a really strong option at some point this year. I'm not so sure that he is at the beginning of the year. Everybody saw the CCL match probably where they lost 4-0. And obviously that makes you wonder if their defense is going to be solid at the beginning of this year or not. I think they might be because obviously CCL is a pretty big tournament and Mexico has a lot of good teams. So they lost 4-0 to one of the best teams in Mexico while they were in Mexico. So I don't think you have to be too concerned, but I think he's somebody a lot of people are going to pass on at the beginning of the season here. But at some point, once LA figures out their defense, I think he's going to be one of the stronger options out there. Moving on up the field, we're going to try to go as fast as we can. We have De La Garza and Van Dam. De La Garza is $8 million. Van Dam is $8.5 million. And we know De La Garza. I know De La Garza. I watch more MLS than any of the other soccer leagues out there in the world. And De La Garza has been with LA for a while now, and he's kind of one of those versatile defenders that can play outside or inside. This year it looks like he's going to start out the season on the inside. Leonardo's injured, at least for a little while. Not sure how long. But he's a good option at the price he's getting there. So Van Dam, I'm not too sure what to say about him. I really don't know him all that well. So I just don't know enough to give you advice on him. I think a lot of people probably know more about him because he played in another league. But at $8.5 million for a guy that hasn't played in the MLS yet, I would use extreme caution just because we don't know how he'll translate into the MLS because it is different than most leagues. Moving out to the sides, we've got Robbie Rogers. Everybody knows him because he's, gay and stuff, and that was a big deal when he came out of the closet as a professional soccer player. I think LA picked him up after that. He was on the crew before. But he's had a couple strong seasons now with LA out on the side, and he will probably as well this year. Obviously, we know he'll get up into the attack. But my feeling on outside defenders, I just don't want them. It's more of a new strategy personally for me. I'm trying something different and I hope it works out. On the other side of him though, we have Ashley Cole, who I know his name a little bit more. My wife watches EPL and I do believe he played in the EPL for a little while. I think with Chelsea, at least for a little bit of it. He's $8 million and that, in my opinion, is quite a hefty price to be playing out on the wings there. So he might be awesome. I just honestly don't know. I think he's a little older, so he might not have as quick of a step as he used to, but he probably will get up into the attack. I'm not recommending him right now. Wait until you see what he does, and if at some point you have enough money laying around to pick up an $8 million defender and you like him, go for it. Moving up the field, we've got a few names here. The way the MLS site puts out their lists, it's hard to tell who's playing where because they kind of make it look like it goes left to right. So I think, by the look of it, which would make sense, Steven Gerrard will probably be playing sort of a defensive midfielder role. And I'm not positive on that. Maybe he'll be playing a little more up in the field, but he is $10 million. there's nothing bad to say about him. He's a great player, tons of world experience, played with Liverpool for a really long time, and has tons of caps for his national team. So I like him. I like him a lot. He came in the season last year like midway through, and um, now I feel like he's had a preseason with the LA Galaxy and has been able to gel with the team and get some chemistry there. So $10 million, I don't think it's actually too bad a price. He's going to be taking free kicks and corners. So yeah, good choice there with Gerrard. Another guy they have is Nigel De Jong, a name that is familiar to me, but I don't really know much about him. He might be the defensive midfielder, probably. He's $9 million, hefty price to pay for somebody you don't really know how they're going to do in the MLS. Again, LA's picked up a lot of people from around the world, which is cool that they can do that, but just not sure how they'll start this season. LA is one of those teams that a lot of times starts kind of slow, but then ends up being one of the best teams. So we'll see. Nigel De Jong, not recommending him just because he's new. They also have Sebastian Legit on their list. Maybe he's the defensive midfielder. I just don't know. Probably, if I would have to guess, I would say he is, just because his price is a little lower than the other two. He's $8 million for a defensive midfielder. That's actually on the high side, but I'm guessing it's probably him. So I wouldn't recommend him just because of his position and just because I think there's a lot of other stars from LA Galaxy you'd probably want to have besides him. So having said that, we'll move on to the forwards, where most people are probably going to be throwing their money at the LA Galaxy. The sun is slowly moving over into my eyes, and I'm just going to deal with it, because I'm a man sometimes. What did that even mean? My wife's giving me funny looks. I'm always a man. Robbie Keane. Everybody has had Robbie Keane on their team at one point if they've played in the last 3 years. He's starting off at $11.5 million, which is the most expensive player you can buy. But he's proven. We know he scores goals. He's obviously getting older, but it doesn't matter. He still scores. He still gets called up to his national team in Ireland, and he's just full of potential, especially with the other teammates he has around him. Zardes, one of my favorite players. Watching him grow up in the MLS has been really cool, and I know his hair looks kind of weird still, but the reason he does that is because his grandparents watch games sometimes, and if he keeps his hair like that, they can tell which player he is out on the field, which I think is really cool. He seems like a really cool dude. Still young, still a lot to learn, but already playing on the national team and stuff, so super excited for him. And at $9.5 million, I think that's a pretty good deal. He's still going to be involved all the time. I think at some point I'm probably going to have him on my team. Maybe not to start the season, just because I'm not sure who of their forwards is going to be doing the best, but it's probably one of those cases where it'll change every week. The last guy we'll mention is Dos Santos, who played a bit for him last year, not the whole season. A lot of people are really hyped about him, but I am personally not that impressed. He's $11 million. From what I've read and heard in CCL and preseason stuff, he just hasn't really done much. Now, that's not to say he won't be great, but maybe wait a little longer in the season until he gets more into better shape and season form. So that's the LA Galaxy. We're going to do our quick top three. First off, we're going to go with Keane. You got to go with Keane Bean. He's too good not to have. I think a lot of people are going to start the season with him because, starting the season, you're usually healthy. So after him, I'm going to go with Dan Kennedy. Big fan of him. I think he'll do really well with the Galaxy this season. I think he'll be one of the top scoring defenders in the league. Well, goalies in the league. Goalies are defenders. But I think he'll get a lot of points this year. And then lastly, I think we'll go with Steven Gerrard, just because he's world class. Going to get points off of crosses and assists and all that. probably be one of the leading assisters this year. So that is the LA Galaxy. Good luck on the fantasy field. Wow, I just clicked over to the camera and my face is so bright. That's creepy. Good luck, guys. Can't wait for tomorrow.